We're continuing our series on ear training and returning to intervals. Intervals, as you remember, are the basic building blocks of music. Using intervals, we can construct scales, chords, and melodies. So after we've worked our way through intervals, we'll go on to talking about recognizing chords and chord progressions and scales and so on. To review quickly, we have three forms of intervals that we're dealing with. That being the melodic ascending intervals, where you play the notes one at a time, going up, and melodic descending intervals, where you play them one at a time, going down. We also have harmonic intervals, where you play the notes at the same time. I'll leave a link to the video where I go into more detail about these types of intervals. I also talked about three methods that you can use to practice identifying intervals. Just like you want to practice technical exercises to strengthen your fingers, you practice these interval exercises to help develop your ear. One way you can do this is through the use of reference songs. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Then there's what is known as solfa or solfege, where you learn how to sing intervals. And that can be a bit of a challenge. And then the third method, which is where we started, is the brute force method. You just play the intervals and practice identifying them. We've already covered this in a previous video where we confined ourselves to intervals contained within a perfect fifth. We'll do another video using the brute force method where we add all the other intervals. But in this video, we're going to touch upon recognizing intervals by the use of reference songs. Now, I'm going to do this a little differently. You might see other videos about this or people talking about using reference songs, and they'll give you a different song for every interval. So, for example, they might say, oh, you can play the theme from Jaws, and that's a minor second, and so on. Well, I'm going to do it a little bit differently. Now, to set the stage, I woke up this morning with a certain song running through my head. Did you ever have that song of the day running through your head when you wake up? It's amazing how much music we can store in our brains. And sometimes it's a song that you love, and sometimes it's a song that you wish wasn't running through your mind. Well, for some reason, you may find this a little silly, the song that was running through my mind today for some reason was Take Me Out to the Ballgame. Now, don't ask me why. I have no idea why this song was running through my head when I woke up this morning. Maybe I was thinking about the time that Harpo Marx played it on his harp during an episode of I Love Lucy. I think I should leave a link so that you can listen to that, because it's an amazing performance by Mr. Marx. I thought, how many of the intervals can we find contained within the melody of this very famous song? And so what we're going to do is play through the melody of Take Me Out to the Ballgame, and I will show you where each interval is. And so I've talked about how you can use intervals to create a melody. Well, let's take this very familiar melody and see what intervals are contained within it. Now, not all of them will be there in that song, and so we'll give you a few more song examples to cover the remaining intervals that are not contained within the melody of Take Me Out to the Ballgame. All right, I've set down in front of me here my scribbled out notation of this song. I'm going to play it in the key of C, and you'll notice the very first interval we come across is an octave. So it starts with an octave, and then it goes. So here we have a melodic descending interval. Kind of sounds like a doorbell, doesn't it? That, of course, is a minor third. So we have an octave, minor third, and then it goes down. That's a major second. This would have been a minor second. That's not quite right. So it's octave, minor third. A major third would have sounded like this, which I guess would work if you wanted to play it in minor. But no, we have an octave, minor third, major second, Here's another minor third. And now here, when we get to the word ball game, there's our perfect fourth. Okay, and then we have the octave again. And then here, there is a minor second. And then another fourth. And then we have this minor second, major second. And then notice here we have a chord outlined for us. Of course, this is a D minor chord. And when we talk about how chords are constructed using intervals, you'll notice that the top interval is a major third. This would be a minor third. The top interval is a major third, and then the interval on the bottom is a minor third. So you put that major third on top of the minor third, and you get a minor chord. If you switch it around and put the minor third on top and the major third on the bottom, you get a major chord. So but here we are, major third, minor third, and then it jumps up a perfect fifth. There's our minor third again, major second, a couple of major seconds. In fact, three of them in a row. 1, 2, 3, and then another minor third. And then we have this octave jump again. There's our fourth. And then it goes right up the scale. And scales, of course, are constructed of a series of intervals. So we have from C to D is a major second, another major second, minor second, major second, major second. And then it goes another major second. And then we have two notes. You could call this unison if you like, C to C. You can't really do a melodic interval with one note, so that's just C. Back down the scale, here's our minor second again. And then to a major second, and then a minor second. So you can see how this melody, the one that unfortunately was running through my head and maybe running through your head now too, was constructed of intervals. Now, there were certain intervals that we did not find in here. We did have a minor second, we had a major second, minor third was in there, major third, perfect fourth, but there's no augmented fourth or diminished fifth, or what we would call the tritone. That one never made an appearance. So we'll have to find another song for that one. There was a perfect fifth. Now there really isn't a minor sixth, a minor seventh, or excuse me, a minor sixth, a major sixth. Minor seventh really doesn't appear. And there's definitely not a major seventh in there. There is that octave though. So let's find some reference songs to take care of the intervals that were not contained within the melody of Take Me Out to the Ball Game. So what was missing? Well, we didn't have a tritone. I can only think of one song that uses the tritone. There may be some others. Actually, a commenter told me that the song Dancing Days by Led Zeppelin uses the tritone. Well, that is certainly true. That's a tritone right there. The more popular song that's used as a reference is a song from the musical West Side Story by Leonard Bernstein. Or Bernstein? Somebody tell me how to pronounce the man's name correctly. I don't want to get in trouble. But it's a song called Maria. You may be very familiar with it. Sometimes all you have to do is play these three notes, and all you musical theater enthusiasts out there will start singing Maria. So that's the tritone. You can either call that an augmented fourth or a diminished fifth, or you can just call it the tritone, or as some people refer to it as the devil's interval. All right. Now, of course, we did have a perfect fifth in there in Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Minor sixth. Well, the most famous example that people often give for this one is it really pounds that minor sixth into your brain, as it were. And of course, because it's a minor sixth, it just seems to lend itself to a minor chord. You could put a major chord under it. That works too. But everybody knows that song, Where Do I Begin? Very romantic song. Major sixth, the popular song that's used for a reference is My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, right? By the way, if you can think of other songs that use these particular intervals, minor sixth, major sixth, leave those in the comments, because I would like to know what they are. There's a lot of songs out there, and undoubtedly many of them use these intervals. Now, a minor seventh, there's another famous Leonard wrote this song, and it starts out, There's a Place for Us. Another famous song that's used as a reference to help you find a minor seventh. I don't know if there's any songs where it goes down, though. Anyway, now, this interval, that's a tough one. I can only think of one song that uses a major seventh interval, and it's somewhat obscure. It's perhaps the songs that some of you that are my age would remember, and it has the interesting title of I Love You by Cole Porter. And he's actually writing it starting in the key of F, and he starts with this B flat minor 9. And so using the notes from this beautiful jazzy chord, he uses the C and the D flat. I love you. It's kind of hard to sing, actually. There it is again. It's really quite a beautiful song, but very unusual in its use of a major seventh, this harmonic interval. And so that's a song you can use as a reference to find this sometimes difficult to find interval. So those are some examples that you can use, and there are other songs, of course, that you can use to find all the different intervals, especially the ones that I covered in Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier video about using this method, there are limitations. It's hard to deal with harmonic intervals because you're dealing with melodies and you just have one note at a time. Of course, if you want to play the song Chopsticks, it does start with a major second, minor third, major sixth, octave. And if you want to play it in a minor key, now you've got a major third. Anyway, reference songs can be very useful, but we're going to go back to the brute force method in our next video, and we'll cover the intervals that we didn't cover in that first video where we did this method, because we can find ourselves to notes between a fifth. Now we're going to add the rest of them. And just like in that video, the interval will be played for you, and you will be called upon to identify that. And also you will be encouraged to practice identifying those intervals, also playing them for yourself and identifying them. So I hope this has proven to be helpful to you. We want to continue to train your ear. This will make you a more able and well-rounded musician, able to learn songs by ear, able to pick things up quickly. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, any comments, any other songs that could be used as reference songs to find those intervals, please be sure to leave those in the comment section. I will be sure to respond. If you'd like to support my work, you can go to my Patreon page. For Patriots, whatever. For patrons, there will be additional materials to help you with your ear training. And I'll leave a link for that in the description. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and all that. I appreciate all of you who have recently subscribed. It's very encouraging to me, and it does help the channel. Thanks again, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next one.